Today I want to discuss a recent Switch 2 report that's been making the rounds online that could have revealed some additional details around the expected power level for this console and even some of the specific components that will be inside of it. And while some people might not think it's going to be powerful enough, if these reports and leaks are true, I could confidently say that I would be more than happy with the expected performance level of this thing. So we're going to unpack all of that. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to kick it off by hopping over to WCCF Tech because they have a detailed article typed up around some claims that are made by a YouTube channel by the name of Moore's Law is Dead. Now, this person, to give you just a little bit of background, has a pretty large following online, and most of their information that they have gotten right in the past with unannounced things has to do with NVIDIA. They seem to have a lot of connections directly with NVIDIA, and the idea here is obviously we know NVIDIA will be sourcing the chip for Nintendo Switch 2. So I'm not going to put all the stock in the world on these claims being correct, but as we do inch closer to a potential release date and reveal date for this upcoming hardware, I do think that some of these claims here are interesting. You can see the following article posted up over on WCCF Tech, which reads, Switch 2 performance docked comparable to PS4 Pro. Handheld image quality and battery better than Steam Deck. Nintendo Switch 2 performance in docked mode will likely be comparable to the performance of a PlayStation 4 Pro. At least that's what reputable tech YouTuber Moore's Law is Dead claims in his latest video, in which he confirms that the Switch successor will indeed use the rumored Samsung 8nm process node with likely 12 gigabytes of memory. In the video, the YouTuber talks about how there's a misunderstanding about Nintendo not caring about performance. Actually, they do, but the company has a certain performance goal it wants to hit for a console cycle, and if it does, Nintendo is satisfied. Some days ago, we reported that it's likely that the chip inside the Nintendo Switch 2 will hardly match the performance of an Xbox Series S. In the video, the YouTuber appears to support that claim, although it actually may come closer to Microsoft's entry-level console, except frame rates are expected to be lower. When comparing the rumored performance of the Switch 2 based on the likely specs of the platform, the performance of Switch successor in docked mode will likely be comparable to that of a PS4 Pro. On the CPU side, the YouTuber also makes a comparison with Microsoft's Xbox One X from last gen. PS4 Pro is a good way to characterize docked Switch 2 performance, Moore's Law is Dead writes. In another post under the video about docked performance, YouTuber writes PS4 Pro would be a better approximation, but the Series X isn't really that difference besides the CPU due to its gimped memory system. As for the Switch 2 handheld performance, the YouTuber says image quality with light ray tracing and battery life of Nintendo's platform will likely be better than that of the Steam Deck, albeit with somewhat lower performance than Valve's platform. Even if they cheap out on the clock speeds and cooling here, I would still say it's about 20 to 30% faster than the Steam Deck GPU, but the CPU is a bit weaker for gaming, Moore's Law is Dead explains. He adds, so again, if Steam Deck is doing 720p low at 40 frames per second, I think this will do like 720p high with light ray tracing at 30. So if you hear PS4 Pro level power and you think that's not going to be enough for Nintendo in 2024 or 2025, depending on when this console actually launches, you do have to keep in mind a couple things. One, the PS4 Pro can effectively run God of War Ragnarok, and look at that game and imagine being able to play it on something that is also a portable device. The other thing that people don't often keep in mind when we're talking about the potential power specs of Nintendo Switch 2 is that they have NVIDIA DLSS at their fingertips, easily allowing them to use the power of AI to artificially upscale images, meaning you can run them at a lower base resolution, get much better performance out of it, but upscale it to where it looks like you are natively running it at a higher resolution. When I say things like the Switch 2 will likely have 4K docked performance, and people in the comments say, not even the PS5 has 4K, no way Nintendo's going to do that with their console, I'm not talking about running it natively at that resolution, but through the technology of DLSS, it has been proven you can get a lot more out of less powerful hardware by having that implemented, and NVIDIA is the company in question that will be handling the chipset for Nintendo Switch 2, and clearly they're going to have a lot of new levers to pull. So imagine the raw horsepower roughly of a PS4 Pro, but you also have all of these additional resources to get much better looking performance out of said games. If we are to believe the Gamescom 2023 rumors, where Nintendo was showing off things on a targeted spec PC see that looked like an amazing Matrix Awakening demo running flawlessly, and Breath of the Wild in 4K with essentially no load times whatsoever. If things like these claims are real, I personally will be more than happy to have that in a hybrid console, something that is more powerful potentially than the Steam Deck, at least with those additional tools at the disposal, and you can dock it and get even a little bit more performance out of it when it is in docked play, just like we see with the Nintendo Switch now. Now, there were also some interesting claims from Moore's Law is Dead in the YouTube video, which I will have linked in the sources section of the description down below, so feel free to go check that out if you want a much deeper dive and a full technical breakdown from some of the different things that he's heard. But he did also mention that he's heard that Nintendo has essentially been done with the design and this console and the concept behind it for a couple years, and they've just been sitting on it this entire time. Apparently their bigger priority, according to him, is that they want to sell through a lot more of the Switch unit stock that is on hand right now, and that's the reason for potential pushbacks to things like 2025, which is a very interesting claim to me because we've had conflicting reports at this point. Some people out there reporting that it's the first party software that needs more time to be ready to go for day one launch, and the games is entirely the reason that the console is delayed. Then you have Nikkei, a very reputable Japanese publication, saying that it's actually also because Nintendo doesn't want to have a scalper situation on their hand, and they want to make sure they show up with enough stock day one ready to sell to the masses when this thing does finally launch. And now you have this claim that Nintendo actually just wants to sell through more of their existing Switch family of system stock that is out there at retailers right now, and because maybe the system is selling good enough for them, they're deciding to sit on essentially a finalized and done console until they see fit, because they think they have a little bit more juice to squeeze out of the current family of Switch systems, which does, to be fair, kind of sound like a Nintendo thing to do, especially in this particular position we find them in now. But you have to remember, with all of this and any of the Switch 2 speculation and rumor talk online around when we might be able to expect this console or what the reasons are behind the scenes, the reality is that we are under new leadership at Nintendo with President Shintaro Furukawa, and there are different decisions being made with his leadership than there has in the past. It is very hard to look backwards to see where we're headed going forwards in this particular case. So like many of you, I am just ready for some kind of official confirmation from Nintendo around what their plans are with next gen hardware. There were some rumors for a reveal in March. Following the delay reports, it sounds like that's now been shifted to June, but regardless what happens with all of that, I'm still feeling very confident we at least see and learn about the console this year. But I am very much setting my expectations for a March next year launch, which actually means the Nintendo Switch will have been Nintendo's flagship console for a full 8 years. Absolutely insanity, but that's where I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you make of all of this? Do you think that something like PS4 Pro level power with additional resources like NVIDIA DLSS tech is more than enough to carry us forward for the next 5 to 7 years of hybrid console gameplay for Nintendo's successor to the Switch? Do you think that that's not enough power and you think that they need to release something more capable than that? And following all of these reports online, are you more in the mindset of seeing a 2024 reveal and launch, or do you think we might see about the console this year, but we won't actually have it physically playable in our hands until next year? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.